See what happens. And I think possibly we're live. Let me check.
Possibly?
Possibly? Let me check my YouTube channel to be sure.
It says started 10 seconds ago. So.
It does. Let's see. And yes, we are. We are live.
Oh, awesome.
Perfect. All right.
YouTube.
I have no idea how the stream's going to go. I have no idea if anyone's going to come, but we will find out.
Awesome.
All right, perfect. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to a special episode of Castlecaster. Was it Thunder Castlecaster? I don't know what this is.
Thunder Castlecaster. I can get behind that.
I'm trying to find a portmanteau, but it's not working. All right, well, welcome everybody. Welcome. My name is Lucas.
My name is Christian.
My name is John.
And I'm Liam, token cynic of a campaign.
Through, there we go. Liam's our rogue. If there, does that make sense? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, welcome everybody. If you are unfamiliar with the lovely faces in front of me here, these are members of the Thundercast, of which I am also a part of. It's a podcast that talks about movies, and today we're just going to have a quick little half-hour spoiler discussion regarding D&D Honor Among Thieves. We all saw it together last Wednesday. And, I have what's this? Skipping some frames. Great. Good. Awesome.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah.
That's annoying. All right. Well, hopefully it's not too bad. It hasn't happened again since that one little thing. Anyway, I'll keep an eye on it. All right. So, yeah, we all saw D&D Honor Among Thieves a couple days ago on Wednesday. And I think overall we all had a pretty good time. If everyone, I posted a whole review on there, so if you guys can go ahead and give your thoughts real quick.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was pretty much exactly what I thought it was going to be, at least in terms of being a Dungeons and Dragons movie specifically, because I felt like they handled a lot of the ideas of it being like a campaign unfolding on screen, which I thought was really fun. Everybody had personality both within their character, but also kind of outside of it, which I thought was really interesting. Like as like a player character, it was funny. It was like the movie was metagaming in itself, which I found very interesting. But yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it's a lot better than the first one we got, the first D&D movie we got.
The 2000 D&D movie slaps.
Hey, I will always love that crappy movie.
I didn't say that movie was... Okay, that movie is crap, but I enjoyed this one more, I should say. But this one was definitely an improvement on a lot of what you get in that first one. Anyway.
Liam, do you want to go? Do you want me to go?
All right, I was to avoid doing the awkward, cringy humor that this movie sometimes falls into. I will go. No, overall, I really enjoyed it. It does what I kind of alluded there to, which the kind of bit thing John was kind of gearing me up for there, which is that it does have moments of the kind of cringy, self-referential humor, but it doesn't really get into that. Thank God. Like, just points where, characters just start to call out how silly the scenes are or the situation is in dialogue. And when you do that, it just takes me out entirely, because Hollywood needs to understand this is not a generation of charm or humor or being funny. It is a generation of cringe that you are playing to. But no, thank God it didn't fall into that a whole bunch. There were just one or two moments where I think the easiest example I could think of is where the tiefling girl, when they're bringing guys back from the dead, which overall was a great scene, by the way. It's just like, she's like, five questions? Isn't that a little arbitrary? I'm like, no. If you lived in this world and you regularly experience weird things like this, it would not seem arbitrary or weird to you. This is just writers trying to be like, oh, see, we're aware of how silly that is. Where I'm like, you don't need to do that. You have a giant wiener dog dragon type thing. It's already silly enough on its own. You don't need to have characters call it out. But again, luckily, didn't really fall into that. All of the cast was great. I absolutely buy Chris Pine as a bard. And I liked all the characters, though some I thought might have maybe been a little underused.
Hmm.
Um, my favorite was easily the Paladin, and I was a little disappointed that he wasn't in the movie anymore after a certain point.
Zink was great.
But yeah, but he gave his was it? He did what he needed to, and all things considered, I've said about this movie that it's not very demanding. It's pretty inoffensive, a little fluffy, but it's a really, really good time. Um, and the one other praise I'll give it is that it doesn't really fall into the whole problem I usually have with watching shows or listening to shows about D&D, which is it kind of just gets to a point where people get so into their own campaign and just like it gets to a point where I'm like, guys, I'm glad you're having fun, but I'm gonna go do something else. Um, no, again, overall, I thought it was good.
Right on.
Yeah. I'm the guy here who doesn't play D&D. I've dabbled in it a couple times. So as someone who is not familiar with the kind of references at all, I didn't understand what roles these characters were and stuff like that. It was just a very fun movie. I had a great old time. Chris Pine is too charming for his own good. Um, I can see what Liam's saying about like the sort of referential humor, but it wasn't too much, and especially compared to like stories that are set in our kind of universe, where it's like, ooh, we'll reference things that happen in real life, and it's like there's no room for that, and it was a great little escape. Um, it kind of lost me a little in the third act. Is like really the only gripe that I have towards it, but it was just a great movie, which we also saw on, is it the X screen? Is that what it's
Oh
called?
yeah, we
Yeah,
saw it
we
on
saw it.
Screen X.
Which was so
that was a
stupid.
fucking
What if the-
ridiculous. Just I hated that experience, but just the screen watching experience. The movie was great, but
Mhm.
having for anybody who doesn't know what this Screen X thing is, I don't know how many other like cinemas around the world have it, but basically it's an AVX screen with like the added Dolby Atmos sound. You got all that good stuff, but they have these projectors on the sides that extend the image out to kind of make you feel as if you're more in the scene or you're more in the movie. But they use it sparingly for one, which I would appreciated. But when they do use it, it's just people walking
Yeah,
or like
There's like other characters on the side. You're like, okay.
It's so it's
Yeah.
like oh no, it's so
The-
stupid.
the amount of times I would have what's his name, Justice Smith on screen, and I would be looking at him, and then just like leaning over your shoulder is Chris Pine,
and it's
kinda
like
just,
it's like a
watching
stretched
the
out face.
Yeah,
No,
it just
it was
looked wrong. But
it's
it
another
was
one
weird.
of it's another one of Cineplex's stupid and desperate attempts to get really dumb people back to the theater by
I
doing another cinematic equivalent of dangling keys in front of an infant.
that's what it was.
I appreciated the ambition of it, but like in execution it didn't work. And
Yeah.
also like on the like I was like the technicality of it, there were times where I was taken out of the narrative because I was looking at the projector.
Yeah, you go over, just
Oh,
look on the
see them
sidewalk.
over there and they're it was all weird. Anyway,
It also makes the room needlessly bright at some scenes.
Mhm.
Like you can full on see everyone in the theater, which I guess could be a good thing. It could also be a bad thing.
Well, especially
Um,
this is one of those movies that was it one of those modern blockbusters that is very sparingly shot at night.
Mm-hmm.
So when it's a movie that's already like super bright and mostly set during the day, that's not going to help with that's already going to make the auditorium bright enough
Yeah.
to a point where it's like you're just kind of watching a really big version of a really. It's almost like you're just watching at home, just with a bigger TV.
Yeah. It's like they're
Yeah, it was
trying to
weird.
emulate VR, but
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with that one. I think that's what they're trying to do. And I do think that like if they had shot the movie, like if they shoot a movie like for this format, it could be kind of cool. But
Mhm.
movies are not shot for this format, and therefore you have to like mutilate the actual image to get it to work. And even then it doesn't really work.
yeah.
So
I
yeah.
don't think it tarnished the movie per se. It just
Mhm.
turned
Oh,
into
I
a
saw
movie
that.
going experience.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
just on what is it? Yeah, just on that principle, it kind of pissed me off.
Yeah, I have zero intention of ever seeing it on a Screen X screen ever again. Seeing
Yeah.
anything on a Screen X screen, I should
Yeah, it
say.
was weird. But
Unless it's like shot before it. Anyway, yeah.
yeah, but now that we've all kind of expressed our opinions and talked about the our movie going experience, I do want us to all digitally join hands and express our gratefulness and our praise of our Lord and Savior, Thembershode, the pudgy dragon.
I will put my praise forward, but I don't want to touch you.
I just want to start it off straight up because I made a couple jokes. I made a short on my channel. I made a couple posts, community posts. I genuinely just love Thembershode so much. He's just a big pudgy dragon, and he's so cute, and he's just like rolling around trying to get some snacks.
Yeah,
Again,
very.
what is it? The way he moved and ran around, he kind of reminded me of my mom's old wiener dog.
Yeah.
Just the Dachshund, yeah. Yeah, I found that scene was pretty much straight out of a dungeon master's mind in my head.
Yeah.
Because you see, like, of course there's gonna be a big fat dragon, and how else are you gonna personify it on screen? That's how you do it. And
Yeah.
you make it so that it's clunky and it can't, lift itself up and
And
it
just
gets
sliding
stuck
down
in
the
a
pile of
hole.
bones and
Yeah.
He's great.
When you first see him and he rolls out, I remember I just started howling.
Yeah.
'Cause I knew I had seen your video and I'd seen a couple other reviews on Letterboxd, and so I was aware of this big, large dragon. And then when you finally get to see it on screen, it's just the payoff is so funny. I don't know.
And I just want to bring up just lore and context about dragons. It makes so much sense for a dragon to be like overweight because dragons, they hoard a bunch of gold and then they sit on the gold all day and they eat adventurers, and that's like what they do. Like how are all these dragons so fit? Like this doesn't make sense.
They don't go anywhere. They don't.
But what's the caloric intake of one adventurer, right? Like it's
That's
not
true.
enough
It
to be
depends.
that large.
Depends on the size and age of the dragon, how many adventures they get to eat.
Christian, but also like I don't care who you are. If you're just sitting on your ass for so long, you're not going. You are not going to be lean. You are going to get heavy.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I think there must have been a lot of adventurers trying to get that gold. Is all I'm saying.
What else
And also,
do adventurers do?
depends exactly, yeah. Also depends on the dragon. A lot of dragons have like underlings that go out and like bring them stuff. That's how they hoard all their stuff because they're like, hey, you're like a little kobold. Bring me treasure or I will eat you. And then they bring them treasure and like, cool, thanks, and they eat them anyway. That's how evil dragons work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I absolutely adore Thembershode. We're fully just assuming everybody here has seen the movie. It does say spoiler in the title, obviously. So
That's true.
yeah.
Yes.
But yeah,
People clicked on a spoiler cast without seeing this movie. I'm like, I'm sorry.
they
that's
brought it
your
on
fault.
themselves.
Yeah.
Which
Well,
we
wait.
haven't really spoiled any bit of the plot. Just
No, we
like
haven't.
two things, but there is one other spoiler I would like to mention,
Mhm.
as I feel like you were going there anyway. Lucas is
Mm-hmm.
Bradley Cooper's cameo.
I almost forgot
Oh,
about
God.
Bradley Cooper's cameo.
That
It
was
is so out of pocket.
It is.
and
and
it was so weird. He shows up looking like the kid on the Beau is Afraid poster.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah, he's a full halfling.
yeah,
I love him. It was so
full
funny.
halfling?
Yeah, full
That's
halfling. Yeah.
that's an oxymoron, but
Yeah.
also makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Um,
For context, I'm sure everybody here has seen the movie, but like for context, Holga Kilgore, which is the most D&D name that's ever been, is keeps talking about her ex and how she left her tribe to be with somebody who her tribe didn't want her to be with, and she had to go leave, and she went to be with him, and they eventually broke up. And so when you finally meet this guy, Holga, he opens the door, and he's like half of Holga's height. Which it was just a great visual. Just little Bradley Cooper standing next to giant Michelle Rodriguez. It was very good.
Yeah, and you got that line from Chris Pine where he basically says like, I always forget how short he is. Like, I always forget. A scene that didn't really give you anything more than just the staff. What's it called? The
Hither Thither staff.
Hither Thither, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's really the only reason why that scene exists, is so that she can go there, meet up with him, get the staff, and then it's just a MacGuffin scene, but helps drive the plot along, I suppose.
Yeah,
But-
gives a little bit of context for Holga's. Sorry.
This movie has the same structure as a D&D was a campaign, which is that we're all just all plot elements just exist for the sole purpose of moving the plot around. Not really many other reasons for it.
Pretty
I
much.
thought was great. Like, that's something that I was able to appreciate from like a film perspective, is that they just keep trucking, and it was such a fun ride to continue to. Oh, hello.
I have lost video for some reason. Keep talking. 1 sec.
That was basically it. I thought that it was just very well paced throughout. I was never bored. Literally never bored.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know why I've lost video, but I have. So I'll try to turn it on again a little bit. That is strange.
Oh, wow. So we are the new faces of the Castlecaster channel.
You are the Castlecasters. There you go. I'll occasionally just try to turn it back on and see what happens. Nope, that's not working. But yeah, just I'm gonna restart my camera.
Oh, good. Yeah, so I guess biggest things in terms of just like plot and full spoilers moving along. You're introduced to Chris Pine and Michelle Rodriguez. What are their characters' names?
We got Holga Kilgore and we have Edgin. I don't know what his surname is.
Edgin and Holga. And they're in prison at the very beginning of the film, and then they are trying to escape, and they do so by having this very grand discussion about their like bail, basically, and they're waiting on one dude to show up. Basically, that whole scene. Jonathan.
Jarnathan.
Jarnathan. Sorry, I should clarify for your Castlecaster fans that I'm very bad when it comes to names in movies, and will most likely just refer to them by the actors' names. But yeah, so they're waiting for Jarnathan or Jarnathan, whatever, and he's revealing his backstory and how tragic it is, and basically he's Chris Pine's character, being the lead, had this very tragic backstory where he was a bard and joined the Bards Guild, or what is it called?
It was
The Harpers.
The Harpers.
Yeah, which is an organization within the Forgotten Realms lore.
And so he then, being a Harper, one day is taking care of a red wizard, and something goes wrong. He feels as though this person wants to take revenge on him, and they do take revenge on him by killing his wife and leaving him with just his young daughter.
Yeah.
And then he becomes a scoundrel.
And also, he becomes a thief. Quick little fun fact about my history as a dungeon master: the Red Wizards of Thay and Zastam were actually one of the first organizations I used as a villain as a DM.
Really?
Yeah, that was kind of cool to see. I didn't use Zastam himself. I can't remember the lead wizard's name that I used. I think it was Cernoth or something like that from Lost Mines of Phandelver. He's mentioned in Lost Mines of Phandelver. This is all gibberish to all of you, I'm sure, but
a little.
I don't know. I was thinking, like, is it like a vodka drink or something?
Yes, no. But it was pretty cool to see because again, I read a lot about their lore when I was preparing for that campaign, and it was like my first long-term campaign that I ran, so that was fun.
Yeah. All right. Does somebody else want to pick up from where I left off? So they Jarnathan shows up, and they
and a quick D&D aside. I'm just gonna keep doing this. I apologize. But there's when they're talking about their escape plan, Chris Pine is they're talking about it's like, oh, this is your last day, chopping ice, Holga. He's like, but Jonathan's coming to the hearing. He's an Aarakocra, and an Aarakocra is a big like bird person, as you see a little later on, and that settles a debate within the D&D community about how you say Aarakocra. A lot of people say Aarakocra or Aarakocra or some. I can't remember the other pronunciation. It's usually Aarakocra or Aarakocra, and that settles it.
Is that just in this movie, or is that?
No, that Aarakocras are canon within like D&D.
Oh no, I meant the pronunciation.
Oh, I don't know. I'm taking it as canon now.
All right,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Put it to bed.
Yeah,
I think
exactly. But yeah.
Yeah, during that segment, they also just like introduce all the key players. I think that as exposition goes, they nailed it because I always like it when a movie can just be fully aware of the way that they are presenting information and to tell somebody else a story about what's going on. And for Chris Pine to tell that story in the way that he did, it was really funny. And so yeah, you're introduced to Hugh Grant. What a gem.
What a gem.
Justice Smith, and then I don't know the actor who plays the witch. What is she?
The druid. Dork, or the character's name is Dork. The actor's name, I believe, is Sophia Lillis.
Yeah.
Well, she doesn't come in until later. She wasn't in those.
Yeah, she wasn't in the flashbacks. She comes in later when they're after they, because basically they pull a job. The job goes wrong, and Chris Pine, or Edgin and Holga get captured by the Harpers, and then get thrown in prison after a wizard that they're working with. Oh, were you referring to? Okay, John, you were referring to the wizard, not the druid.
Yeah. The wizard. Oh, the druid is the one who can change the forms.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I thought yes.
Yeah, for sure.
He like traps them. Yeah.
You can totally tell John has never played Dungeons and Dragons in his life.
But yeah, and they get captured, and then they get imprisoned, and now they're trying to get out by appealing to get a pardon, and before it is revealed what their verdict is, the one of the main guys slams down the stamp, and Holga creates a distraction by throwing a potato at somebody, and then like throwing a stool or something like that, and get into a fight. And they grab Jonathan, the Aarakocra bird person, and they hop out the window and start flying away, forcing Jonathan to fly away. And as they're flying away, you hear the judge being like, "But we approved your pardon."
Which, does that still apply? That's my question. Does that pardon still apply?
I mean, not
no,
No, because there are wanted posters after that.
there are, yeah, but they committed a new crime, so.
That's true.
And they
So basically, they're just trying to retrieve a tablet, right? Of undying, or what is it?
Tablet of Reawakening, they called it.
Reawakening. So that Chris Pine's character can resurrect his dead wife, and the mother of his daughter. And then they go on that epic journey to go retrieve said thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, you take over.
All right. Basically, Forge, Hugh Grant's character, who I believe the marketing said he's a rogue, basically sort of tarnishes Edgin's name in the eyes of his daughter, and Edgin's daughter kind of hates him now, and Hugh Grant has become Lord of Neverwinter, which is one of the biggest cities in the Forgotten Realms, and he's conspiring with the Red Wizard, whose name I don't remember. And so our main characters, Edgin and Holga, have decided to do a heist to get his daughter out of there, away from Forge, and they need more people to do that. So that's where they bring in Simon, Justice Smith's character, the, as they say, so-so sorcerer, and then Doric the druid, who is introduced in a great scene where she just she's hidden in like this group of soldiers as one of their horses, which is great. And then becomes an owlbear and just rips them apart to save a wood elf.
Yeah, which, frankly, there's a couple times in this movie where I'm like, why is she not using wild shape right now? Like, there's so many opportunities. Like when with the hither nither in the dragon's lair or whatever. Couldn't she just turn into something like a monstrosity and carry them over the bridge? I don't know.
But technically, druids can't turn into monstrosities, Christian. Even
I'm
though an owlbear is a monstrosity, we just not gonna talk about that.
That's the one exception. But yeah, you'd think she would have been able to like turn into a bird and carry them over one at a time, but
they didn't roll for it.
Yeah. The player forgot about that ability.
Yeah.
But I guess the hither nether really does come into play later on. So, but they meet up so after the party's been gathered, you discover that Hugh Grant's character is the villain. Forge is the villain. He has essentially taken Chris Pine's daughter captive. Kind of, it's a consensual capture because she's
brainwashed her. Yeah,
brainwashed her. And then the party's like, well, we gotta go in there and mess up his stuff so that he can't he can't steal all of our money and steal the tablet. And then they end up going on the journey and find the paladin, whose name is what, Lucas?
Zinc,
Zinc.
played by Reggae Jean Page.
Reggae Jean Page? That's
Yeah.
his name?
That's his name.
Character.
That's a cool name.
What was that, John?
He's just the best character in the whole movie.
He's
Like,
so good.
and like I remember that actor from Bridgerton, and I had to like watch the show really, but like he does a good job. But I was like quite astounded with just how he carried himself in this movie. Really fun.
One of my favorite lines in the movie is they're talking about Forge and how they're going to take him down, and Holga says like, "He's a real son of a bitch," and then Zank is like, "So you blame his mother for his corruption?" He's like, "No, it's an expression." He's like, I do not traffic in colloquialisms.
Dude, he had the whole like literal was it interpreting everything literal thing?
Yeah.
But in a way that wasn't just made him come across as dumb, which we usually fall into.
Yeah,
Right.
he's very much the lawful good paladin stereotype, which is a lot of D&D games can become a little bit of a problem because of the way some people play it. But he played exactly how you make that role fun.
Yeah.
Very much a person who deals in absolutes.
Yeah.
But again, without the whole falling into the whole easy thing of the whole literalness coming across like, oh, he's just dumb.
Drax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Or just about any time we try to write literal in things.
Mhm.
and that's why I liked it. I liked it so much with the not being, trafficking in colloquialisms. It's just because he's too busy. He's too busy doing like paladin things to ever get worried about, other people's bullshit, and so he's just more concerned about, pulling cats out of fish mouths and stuff.
That's so good.
Which is a scene in the movie.
It literally happens.
What are those creatures called? The cat people?
Tabaxi.
Yeah, so he pulls it like a baby of Tabaxi
Tabaxi.
Tabaxi. I can't say it. This is just a word I can't say. Sorry, guys.
Tabaschi.
And Tabashki. Okay. Anyway,
That's not it.
and pulls it out of a giant fish.
Yeah.
And it was very entertaining. But then then they team up, and then that's where they meet up with.
Yeah, they got to go down into the Underdark, which is the place in D&D lore that's not technically an alternate plane, but it's like this world beneath the world. And they got to go down there to retrieve this the helmet of disjunction, so they could open the seal of Mordenkainen, which is closed, which is what has locked Forge's vault. And they go down there. They got to get this thing, and they're being hunted by Thayan assassins. And Zank is like, leave them to me. He just goes and takes them all out by himself in a pretty cool fight scene. But of course, they're Thayan, so they're undead, so you can't really kill them that easy. And that is where we run into the best boy.
The biggest best boy.
The biggest best boy.
And then he comes in, messes everything up, eats them basically.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's get out. And then, and then they bounce. And then basically, I don't know, without literally covering every single section of the movie, it's hard to really talk about it otherwise, I suppose.
Yeah, a lot happened in this movie.
There's a lot going on, and that's what I appreciate about it, because like I said earlier, a lot of D&D campaigns, that's the whole focus, is that you are with these people for ideally years, not just 1 or 2 sessions and then everyone gets too busy. But
That's usually how it goes.
It's usually how it goes. But you hear about those D&D groups have been playing for like 20 years or whatever, and they've played the same characters, or they've been basically living in that same world forever, and a lot happens in that storytelling side of things. And so I think that's kind of what they were trying to emulate here. And like I said earlier, I think they did a really expert they did a very expert move with it, because it felt like it was so lived in. It felt like the universe, like that world was so lived in, outside of like the original D&D, where it's just things are do this, then do this, then do this, then do that, instead of this one where actions had consequences. So
Yeah.
But anyway.
I loved a lot of the creativity in the movie. Like there's so much creativity on display in like the set deck to the costumes to like the animatronics and a lot of the ways the characters solve problems. Like I really love that scene with their staff, the way they use it to get into the carriage to plant
Brilliant.
I thought that was really creative.
Yeah, that was so cool. It felt like I said this in my review, but it felt like something straight out of a D&D game. Like fully, if you give your players a magic item that powerful, they will abuse it. Just it's inevitable. And
then it's your job to make it backfire.
Yeah. that's why the DM had the painting that had the portal on it fall on the ground.
That's right.
Like, fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah, would you consider the people who wrote this and like the director as kind of like one conglomerate as like a DM, because in a way they were kind of the ones that were in control of telling that the story the way that it was? That's a weird abstract question.
Yeah, kind of, but it's not super comparable just because like the actors weren't choosing what their characters were doing, right? So
right.
But yeah, I mean the role of the director or the writer is fairly similar to what a DM does, but an actor or director or a writer or director has a lot more control from what happens. Whereas anyone who's DM'd will tell you people like DMs from the outside, it looks like DMs have like unlimited cosmic power. Because they can literally make anything happen in their games, but they are subject to the whims of their players. Like they seem like DMs seem like they're a top, but they're fully a bottom. Like,
which makes me wonder if you were ever going to make a movie that was run by the actors in a very similar sort of fashion of a D&D campaign. One, I don't think you would ever finish the movie.
No.
But two, I think it would be a really, really interesting experiment.
Christian, we have those movies. They're called movies starring The Rock.
All right. I take back the things I just said for the past 40 seconds.
I think the closest thing we would have is all those movies where they improv half the script. Like, or at least they say they improv half the script. I don't know how true that is, but
you can kind of tell a lot of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and you really got it. Like when I feel like translating a D&D campaign to the screen is such a strange, would be a strange process, because like a D&D campaign and a movie or even TV series are two like completely different beasts in how they're created and how they're paced. It just seems like it would be a weird job to try to translate one into the other.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, just to kind of give your audience maybe a little bit more insight. So, we're Thunder Lizard, right? We're Thunder Lizard Collective. That's what I know everybody here is. Lucas and I started that a very long time ago. We started Thunder Lizard like 9 years ago or whatever, and we've been making movies and stuff since. Lucas, Liam, and I kind of cover most of the podcast stuff, and then John and I kind of cover a lot of the filmmaking side of things. So we do the sketches, the skits, and short films and whatnot. John is now a new addition to the Thundercast as a permanent host, so that's wonderful.
Hey.
But that just kind of gives a little bit more of an insight on like why we talk about movies. I guess I don't know if that helps. But I don't know. I just felt like dropping that in there because I'm a narcissist. But
no, is it? Yeah, good to give context in the last 10 minutes of the video.
If you got this far, congratulations.
Yeah, welcome.
To like the like translating a campaign onto the screen and stuff like that, I really appreciate that the filmmakers like they held back in a lot of ways that they could have really like indulged themselves, being like, ooh, oh, look, we're playing D&D, whereas it's just like a story that we then get to dissect and be like, oh, look at that fun little thing where it's like the equivalent of somebody crit rolling or whatever you call it, and
rolling a nat 1 or whatever.
Yeah. And it could have been a lot more self-indulgent, and it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was hoping so hard. They didn't do it, thank God. But there were points where I was expecting them to, like, when they put on armor or whatnot, to be like, This armor's so loud, it'll give us a disadvantage. We've got a disadvantage here. To which I'd be like, shut up, movie.
And for context, John, if you're wearing heavy armor in D&D, you have something called disadvantage, where you have to roll the die twice and take the lower of the two.
Oh, 'cause they could like hear you.
Yeah, exactly.
Armor.
Yeah, the armor's clanking and making noise and stuff. But
I think what also helped this movie along is that they casted actors who are charming but not patronizing or obnoxious.
That's
Like
true.
Chris Pine could easily walk into the whole obnoxious thing the two other Chris's do. What is it? Which is just like be like, look at how funny I am, look at how doofy I am, and then just spend the whole time doing really bad improv. But Chris Pine has never really been one to fall into that.
yeah,
Even when he's playing somebody about as unlikable as Abrams Kirk, he makes it likable because of his performance.
yeah. I think Chris Pine is the best Hollywood Chris in my opinion. But
and then Michelle Rodriguez, we kind of like know her as like her kind of like what is it, like Michelle Rodriguez usually plays the same kind of role in most of her movies, but she's good at it.
very good at it.
Yeah, because she's basically doing the same in the Suicide Squad, right?
She's not in the Suicide Squad.
Who is that?
That's Alice Braga.
Oh my god, did I just? Oh fuck!
Oh, no.
Leave. I gotta leave the internet. I'm sorry.
No, I mean like, but her character in like Fast and Furious or her character in Avatar are all very similar to this character.
Isn't? Hold on. I'll let you guys talk because I don't want to embarrass myself again.
I absolutely loved the relationship between Chris Pine and Michelle Rodriguez. Like not only from a chemistry perspective, but also like narratively. I love to see a man and a woman not romantically involved on screen, and it never alluded to it. And then they had, at the risk of getting ahead of ourselves, a very beautiful moment at the end when she dies. That's something that I enjoyed overall, is that they all just kind of like got through all right. I was gonna be bummed if any of them like kicked the bucket, because I enjoyed all their characters. And so when she died, I was like, oh, but they got this thing that they're gonna bring her back. And then it was a very tender moment of like she was always his daughter's role model, and Chris Pine kind of learns to do something quite selfless, because bringing back his wife would be for his own gain, where she says he's doing it for his daughter as well, but she like never knew her. So he made the right choice, and then they all got out. It was very cool.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, John. I don't know if you said it, but his daughter definitely did see her as her mother, basically, right? Yeah. Because she's the one who raised her. And why would you be so selfish to bring back something that you want, rather than some, two lives that were, you're bringing back the life of your best friend, but also you're essentially your child's mother, right? Because if you just brought back your dead wife, then
a person your daughter does not know.
Yeah,
your mom, I guess.
Yeah,
which he does have that line when he's talking to the projection version of her later on in the film, when the Red Wizard is in that room and pretending to be his daughter, where he says, Chris Pine says, you didn't know her, but I feel like you definitely would have really liked her. And it's just a really nice little tender moment, because he that's him accepting it. That's him accepting early on that this is not about me anymore. This is about her. I have to make it about her. When he admits that he's a liar and all that stuff. I found that growth very, just really nice to watch over the course of the film, because he definitely does start out just kind of like a scoundrel with a one-track mind. And then as things kind of unfold, he learns, oh, I can't be a numbskull, right? I have to be better for my daughter, which is, a life lesson that a lot of people get. And I should say that I loved in that movie because my character in D&D does the exact same thing.
I gave Christian's character a daughter that he didn't know about.
Yeah,
He's Christian. You are proving your own point about being a narcissist.
I just brought it back.
Yeah, you brought it around, man. It's all good.
I brought it around.
I think that's also a pretty good note to leave off on. We're about 10 past 8 there. So for those who watched, apologies for the technical difficulties. I'm still figuring this streaming thing out. But thank you for watching, anyone who is out there. And my name is Lucas.
My name's Christian.
My name is John.
And I'm Liam.
See ya. All right, and we're off.
We're off.